Hello, everyone, and welcome. Am I recording? I just wanted to Game Grumps for a second.
Yes, we are recording. We are live.
Sorry. Yes, we're live. Um, Welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. This one is Sowing Seeds of Doubt. Uh, and I am joined here today by.
Hello, my name is Mira, and I will be playing Sammy Jax, the very confused, colorful Toon.
And I'll be playing everyone else, but most specifically, a very certain plant. So, um, we.
This takes place directly after. Oh, what was the other FPS that we had?
Pied Piper.
Pied Piper. This takes place directly
Yes.
after Pied Piper, so you're gonna want to watch that. Otherwise, you're gonna be even more confused than Sammy.
That is true. So, uh, we are back out on the street, on the sidewalk specifically, heading towards a destination that Sammy is not very familiar with, but there we are. It's probably about midday, and you're holding this plant that just gave you directions to their office.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll survival to see just how well Sammy is navigating Toontown. An 11, he's a little distracted by the fact that a plant just talked to him.
It's understandable. Despite it being probably the middle of the day, there aren't too many people out and about. Seems people are settling in for lunch, and you're just trying to get through. But eventually, you get onto a particular street, and this seems to be the place. You take a look, and in front of you, there seems to be like a two-floored building, and the one on the ground floor here is a gardening store.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's an entrance. So the front of it, the storefront, it's got glass. You can see in the display there are all sorts of plants and flowers, and the entrance is to the left of the window.
Mm-hmm. Sammy kind of just looks down at the plant in his arms, and he's just. Oh, his shading is just gray, man. It's just. He is so confused by all of this. He looks down at the plant, up at the shop. Gardening shop? Is this the office? He's a little confused. He thought offices looked a little more officey instead of gardeny, but at the same time, this plant just talked to him. So he's gonna walk on in.
So so you Sammy, you head inside, and when you open the door, so when you go in, to the right of you is the entrance, the proper entrance into the store. But in front of you, there are a flight of steps going to the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear a voice in your head speak again. Upstairs.
Sammy just kind of nods and then heads up the stairs. He's just quietly in the back of his mind going, how. What kind of plot is this? Like, what kind of thing is are the narrators sending me on today? I am very confused. I am a very confused Toon. This is definitely weird, even for Toontown. I want answers. So I'm just gonna go up the stairs.
Okay, so you make your way up the stairs. There aren't too many. It seems like a typical flight of stairs. Um, you get to the top of the stairs relatively quickly, and there is a door. On this door, there's like a kind of this window. It's like a little, what is it? Uh, Kind of like you could peer into it, but it's kind of like, what is it, marbled or something? It's not marbled, but you know the one.
Yeah, like
I
it's
think.
all like ripply and stuff, so it's actually hard to look through.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But on there is uh, there's some lettering on there, and it says S Plant, and underneath Private Investigator. Above that text, there is a piece of paper that had been stuck to it, and that reads, "Be back in an hour." And as you take a look back down at the plant, you notice in its pot there are a set of keys.
Sammy's gonna take the keys and unlock the door, and he just kind of looks down at the plant and is like, "Do you want me to take off the be back sign since you're back?"
You hear the voice in your head again. Leave it.
Oh, okay. Sammy's gonna unlock the door and head inside.
So, Sammy, you open the door, and it what you find is pretty much a regular looking office. It's kind of got this gray carpet-ish. It's not like a shaggy carpet. It's just kind of plain.
Mm-hmm.
In the center, there is this desk. It's not very small. It's relatively long, but it's the single one in the center. It has like an armchair behind it, and in front of it, like one of those plasticky chairs.
Mm-hmm.
But along the left side of the wall, there are rows of cabinets, filing cabinets. They're actually about as tall as you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty hefty stuff. But to the right, there seems to be a little kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a little stove. There's some cabinets, just like regular cabinets. There's even a fridge, which looks smaller than a regular fridge, but bigger than like a mini fridge.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a door on the right wall,
Mm-hmm.
presumably leading to somewhere else. And there are like windows all along the back of like the far wall.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just what the place looks like. Pretty standard stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sammy kind of just looks down at the plant and is just like, where do you want me to put you down at?
You hear the voice once more. The desk.
Okay. Sammy just puts the plant down on the desk, and he kind of takes a step back, and he's just kind of fidgeting with his sleeves a little. He's confused. He's just rolling with it, but he's confused.
Sammy, did you close the door behind you?
He had an armful of plant, so I don't think he did.
Okay. No, I just wanted to ask. Sorry. So you hear the voice in your head again. Please close the door.
Okay. Sammy goes and shuts the door. His shading is a little bit more, lilac tinged, but there's, like, still that, like, gray, too. It's just, like, it's kind of airbrushed onto the edge of the shading. He shuts the door, and he kind of just looks back at the plant, like, he has so many questions that he doesn't even know where to start.
And the voice just picks back up. You may have a seat. And
Okay.
there's a seat there.
Yeah, he's gonna sit down. Like, how low to the ground is it? Because he's bigger than normal Toons, so.
It's not very low. In fact, it seems like the armchair is like a little lower. This is just kind of a regular seat.
Okay.
So,
So he fits pretty comfortably in it, I would assume.
yeah, I mean, like it's a pretty average chair.
Like he probably just has like his knees up a little bit higher than your average seat, but like, yeah, but that's just because he's pecking 6 feet tall.
Yeah. So, Sammy, as you sit down, you see a little bit of a change go over this plant. It seemed really benign before, but now its leaves are rustling just a bit and start moving. It, with one or two leaves, it starts shuffling some papers that are on the desk, trying to look for a particular document. And you hear the voice again. I presume that you have questions.
Yeah. First of all, how do you know Bev? Or I assume you know Bevan.
The the plant continues with adjusting papers. I was hired to find them. I mean,
To find Bevan?
they seem to find the document that they're looking for. They pick it up with one of their fronds, and they hold it up in front of Sammy. On there, it seems there's a small picture of Bevan, along with a report filed for a missing persons. You you want to do a perception or investigation check on it?
I'm gonna do a perception just because that is the higher mod. Oh, Sammy. Oh, buddy. That was a nat 1. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy.
Bud.
Oh.
That's all right. As far as you could tell, I mean, all of this is it's really new territory for you. So
Yeah, considering
it's understandable.
considering he's only really been involved with the police once as on a nemesis basis, and then Barkson handled the other time he would have had to deal with the police. So yeah, this is incredibly new for Sammy.
Shirley places the document down, but so that it's facing Sammy. Yes, I was hired by the troop that the child was traveling with. And they they actually pick up a pen that was on the desk and start filling in one or two things. And this is upside down, mind you, but they seem to have very good handwriting for a plant.
Plant writing upside down. Sammy is impressed. He wouldn't be able to do that. His handwriting is chicken scratch.
They stop writing for a moment, and they're actually going to go into their hammer space. Finally drafted it up. Oh, yes! Sorry, I was like so excited. Let's go. Oh, I can't freaking spell. All right, what they get? Oh, that's a D10. I'm sorry. I was supposed to do a D20. Okay, 3. What does a 3 get us? Okay, so this plant reaches into kind of an unseen section of their pot. They intended to pull out something a little heavier, it seems, because what they do pull out is a microphone, but it kind of slips out due to them pulling it out so hard, and it kind of just lands on the floor.
Oh, can actually Sammy roll Dex to see if he can catch it?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, that is a +2. 15.
I'd say that would do it.
Yeah, Sammy just kind of he like shoots forward and just kind of and kind of scrambles for it and then catches it at the last second and just like, huh. Everybody, Chifley says these are really expensive, so here, I don't think it got any damage or anything, and he hands it back to Shirley.
Thank you. They take the mic in one of their little fronds and just kind of stuff it back into into their space.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna go again to try to get the thing they were needing.
Oh, that was a D10.
Does that? Wait,
Oh, wait.
is it supposed to be?
Yeah, it's a D10. My brain forgot that you were rolling again, but since it's lower than a 5, they fumble again.
Oh. I forget how this works. Man, Shirley is having a time.
Shirley is having a time.
Oh. Oh, okay. So, as they're getting other papers in order, they go back in to pull out what they were looking for. And you don't know how, but they pull out just an average-looking black painted desk lamp and place it on the desk. They stop for a moment, and it's as if they're kind of looking at it like, oh, I pulled that out.
Oh, that's where that went.
But they leave it there.
More light. It's all good.
So, I'm sorry. God, Shirley, just get this thing that you need.
Yay! They get it.
Okay. So, finally, they go back into some unknown spot in their pot, and you also wonder how this comes out, but they whip out this slightly worn-looking typewriter and just kind of plop it onto the desk.
Ka-thunk. Ching.
Yeah. On top of it is also a tape recorder. You assume it's the same one that you saw earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And they take the tape recorder, put it to the side, and they start setting the paper up on the typewriter, like they're going to start typing.
Mm-hmm.
And before they do, though, their voice kind of echoes in your mind. Did you have any other questions?
Yeah. Why me? I don't really understand why you chose me instead of just going to Bevan. Why the?
I've been having. Go ahead.
Why the subterfuge? I think that's the word.
Oh, I like that word. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm just really quickly looking it up to make sure that I used it right.
That's a correct word. I know. I had to look one up earlier. I was like,
yeah. I used it right.
And silently, they kind of stretch out another frond, so it's like this leaf kind of just whipping out. They pull open a drawer from the desk, so they pull it open.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of shuffle their frond in there for a moment, and they pull out a page of a newspaper, and they set it down in kind of on top of the file on Bevan.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to take a look at it?
Yeah, Sammy will take a look at it. I assume roll investigation?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's... Oof. Okay, here we go, Sammy. Oh, Sammy, buddy.
You can You can roll with advantage. You can do another
Okay,
one.
good. Dice
Okay, that's
parser.
slightly better. But luckily, the large print helps. It seems to be the front of one of the newspapers. Um, and especially so, um, you notice that it is an article on the potential heist that was supposed to go down at a museum in the Uncanny Valley, specifically the one that you helped on.
Sammy's just like, that, right? That would be in the newspapers. Like that's like that realization is kind of in his face as he kind of looks at the newspaper and it's just like, yeah. But then like he just kind of sets newspaper down and just looks at Shirley and is just like, you could have asked me for help instead of just he just kind of wordlessly gestures to like himself and then Shirley and then just like around just like to refer to the last hour that he'd been on playing unwitting traveler like having an unwitty having a person hitch a ride with him basically without his knowledge.
That's fair. And you hear Shirley's voice. Again, this is all in your head, but
Right. Sammy's
I'll just talk from
rolling
here
with
as
it.
if they're speaking.
Sammy's just rolling
Wait,
with
what?
it. Sammy's just
Oh.
rolling with it. Telepathic plant. Okay, cool. What the heck? Okay, it's Toontown. Okay. It's weirder
is
than I
fine.
thought. This is fine.
But you hear just a small, kind of tired sigh. This is just how I operate.
Sammy just kind of blink, blink, blink. Like he kind of just makes that noise at Shirley because the shading is gray again.
So, anyway, Shirley moves aside the newspaper, picks up the file, and seems to be looking through it for a moment before switching on the tape recorder. Essentially, like, it had been rewound already, and it is now playing the conversation that you guys had in, Laffy's store.
Yeah, in the store.
And they start typing on the typewriter. See, I was hired by one of the troop members in order to find the child in question, Evan. I had spotted them before, but it is rather difficult in this form to follow them. Likewise, I had to figure out whether or not this was just an accident or purposeful. They're speaking as they're typing, which is kind of impressive.
It is
at least
impressive.
Our plant.
No, it's impressive for anybody. Like Sammy's impressed.
They seem to have done this before. They actually take another piece of paper from behind the first one, and they place it in front of Sammy. There is a list of all the troop members. I thought it appropriate to look at each one to make sure that this was not an inside job.
Sammy kind of nods because that. Yeah. That's smart. And Sammy's just like, ugh. Because what the heck was that conversation he had with Laffy? Like,
Yeah.
Like, he has no idea what the heck is going on with this troop. Just gestures loosely at the entire situation. Sammy's honestly he's lost for words a little. Just the fact that he's like, what the peck?
Shirley continues typing as they explain a little bit further. So I decided to go down the list, starting with the most probable. And they tap the paper and they tap Laffy's name. So
since I'm like trying to figure out what, because Sammy has an ability, because I finally was able to get Sammy's voice cleric sheet. He has an ability called Overture, and starting at first level, you gain an ability to select a target you can see, and if the target is capable of vocalizing. And this is where I'm like hesitant, because you keep saying that they are telepathic, so I don't know if this would actually work. If they're capable of vocalizing, see its voice and pick one of 3 options: mimic, read, or break. And Sammy would be doing read, which allows Sammy to make an insight roll where on a 15 or higher you get a pretty good impression of the target's emotions or motives. On a roll of 10 or 15 you get the general gist, and 5 to 10 you get the vague impression of what might be going through their head, and 5 and lower you learn nothing.
I mean, with vocalizing, I do imagine it to be like out loud.
Yeah, that's like.
But also, you are hearing it in your head, so you can still tell the inflections. So hey, I'll allow it. You
Okay,
can
awesome. Let me
try to analyze this plant.
Yeah, let me just roll his insight. Ah, damn it, Sammy. You he learns nothing. He learns nothing. He got a 3.
Oh no. Well, I mean,
oh well, he tried.
It's not like you would have learned much though.
I know, but it was more along the lines of he just kind of wanted to gauge what Shirley's intentions were, if they were telling the truth, etc., just kind of, gauge what they were up to and stuff, because this is everything is weird. What the peck? Sammy really should have used this ability on during the FPS last week, but I completely forgot that he had the ability at that point.
It's all right. There will be opportunity, perhaps, for another time.
Yeah.
But Shirley, though, can kind of tell, at least outwardly, that Sammy's still confused.
Yeah,
so
he's not experienced in missing person cases at all. And he just is trying to figure out what is going on with this troop. Is Bevan going to be okay? Because Laffy said some really messed up stuff back there.
Yeah. So at this time, actually, could you? What's Sammy's passive perception?
Sammy's passive perception is 14.
Okay. So we'll just use that. So as you're trying to gauge what this plant is really up to, their typing stops, as if they're listening for something. And then it seems strange, but they suddenly start putting the papers back in the file very quickly. They rip open the drawer real quick. They put the newspaper and they try to stuff the file in there, but they're a little too frantic to try getting it in there. It gets kind of stuck. That's when you start to hear it. You start hearing these slow, plodding steps from outside in the stairwell that are coming up steps. You see Shirley just continue to kind of scramble to put things away, but it seems like they're getting closer.
Do you need me
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you need me to stall them? What do you need? Do you need me to help put stuff away? What do you need
As
me
you're
to
saying, Sammy, this plant stop for a moment, and they tip just a little, and they tip themselves over. So now they're upended. Their leaves are kind of jutting out from their pot, with the bottom facing upward.
So last I heard, they were basically upside down? Question mark?
Yes, they're upside down right now.
Okay.
As you're very confused, another curious thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
Their leaves kind of prick up a bit, and they push up, and now they scuttle about like a spider
Mm-hmm.
or a crab. They start walking on their leaves, and they're pretty fast. They get off of the desk, and they are just darting along the floor. They crawl up the cabinet and get to the top of the cabinet and right themselves just as the door opens behind you.
Does Sammy have time to hide? Because nope.
I'll give you one. I'll give you a chance to roll for stealth to see if you can find a place to hide.
Okay. 5. Please dice parser 17. Does that work?
I guess there are very few places to hide here, but luckily, Shirley doesn't need the chair that's on the other side, so you can go around, pull open the chair, and just like hide under the desk.
Yeah, Sammy's
Because you can't see underneath the desk, like it's flush with the ground. So
Sammy's gonna do that because urgent instincts. Nope, hide. Goodbye.
so you hear the door open, and you hear a voice say, "Oh, it's unlocked." And you hear the footsteps come in. They're slow and kind of soft. You're not really sure from your vantage point. And you hear a small rustling of like a bag. Huh. Strange. Thought I heard someone. I don't know.
Can Sammy roll perception to see if he recognizes this voice at all?
I mean, you could if you'd like, but I'm pretty sure Sammy hasn't met them yet.
Okay.
So.
Well, that should actually be history, I should say then.
I mean,
just to see if
I guess if you...
the two that he knows
yeah,
nothing.
This voice. Yeah, no, this voice is completely foreign to you. And you hear the footsteps travel to the right side of the room where the kitchen is, and if you want, you can either like take a peek to see if you can see them. They haven't noticed you at all because you're under the desk.
Right.
But in the meantime, you hear that there's like a little sink next to the stove, and you hear the spigot turn on.
Mm-hmm. Sammy is going to try and peek out, but very, very slowly. Should I roll stealth again?
If you'd like.
Okay, Sammy, please please. Oh,
Oh,
a dirty
okay.
21. He is stealthing right now.
Nice. Stealthing. So you take a peek from outside the desk, um, and uh, you see this tune filling up something at the sink. And from behind, you can see that this is a large looking teddy bear. They seem to be wearing a sweater vest, a red one, and they're just filling something up at the sink. You hear it turn off, and they go and place it on the stove. You see now that it's a teapot, like a kettle.
Uh-huh.
And you hear them just kind of humming just a little. And what you had heard before was like a plastic bag. It has been placed on the floor near the fridge.
Mm-hmm. Someone's just returned home from shopping, huh?
Yes.
I
And,
have potential suspicions on who this is, Wick. uh Sammy just kinda like looks from this teddy bear tune to Shirley and just kinda makes a he actually signs what? At the plant. He doesn't know if the plant knows sign language, but he's signing just like what?
and the plant does not move, does not seem to acknowledge you, but then you hear a voice in your head. Quiet. Um, um, as this is happening, the bear moves from stove over to the fridge and starts opening it and starts putting a couple items from the bag into the fridge.
Uh, the Mira is dying because, on one hand, Sammy should probably interact with this tune, but at the same time, uh, uh, ah!
Well, either way.
Because, oh man, oh.
It's all right. Just me. Just hold on a second. So, they then close the fridge door, and they turn around and that is when they don't see you, but they see the plant. They spot the plant up on the top of the cabinet. Oh, there you were. I was wondering where you were. And they slowly make their way over to the cabinet, and they start reaching for it with their arm. But Sammy, they're about a foot shorter than the cabinet, and currently they cannot reach the plant like this. Oh, just a little bit. And you can tell they're trying to get on their tiptoes, even though they don't really have toes. They're just trying to reach, get this plant.
Sammy and his player are dying. Oh, I know this is gonna be fine, but it's just that, oh, Sammy, you're in another person's space again, and there's another person here. Ah. And okay, we're just gonna make a decision here. Okay. His shading turns orange for a second. He just kind of quietly is it okay if I keep my 21 stealth?
No, that's fine. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So he's going to, since they're distracted by, this teddy bear is distracted by the plant, Shirley. Sammy's going to creep over to the door and kind of like quietly open the door, make a knocking sound, and like move as if he's just poked his head in and stuff, and is just like, excuse me, do you need help at all?
Oh, the bear turns right around to where the voice came from. Um, they didn't hear the knocking for a second, but they see basically just the door open and Sammy's head kind of peeked out.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, hello there.
Hi. His shading is back to purple. He and you can tell like he's visibly nervous because my boy is not a very good actor.
Oh, well, I think I could get it. They step aside for a second, and they bend down and pull open the bottommost cabinet and make to step on top of it
Oh no,
to
no!
get to the plant.
I can help. Sammy steps forward and gently takes Shirley, and he's like, there's like this quiet like, sorry, Shirley, or sorry, and like, well, I don't know actually if Sammy actually knows what Shirley's name is at this point. So he just kind of whispers a sorry to the plant and gently moves the plant to this person's hands because he doesn't want anybody getting hurt.
Oh, thank you. They put the cabinet door like back in. Oh, I'm sorry about that. And they gently take the potted plant from you. Thank you. And my partner always puts it up there. I don't know why. And they start walking towards the desk, and they place it back on the desk in the corner of it.
Mm-hmm.
They turn back around. Did you need something? I know I was out for just a little bit, but I'm here now. And they give a little smile.
Sammy kind of fidgets and he doesn't know what to say because he doesn't know if the plant wants to be acknowledged as a person or keep up their subterfuge or what. Sammy's kind of just like quietly dying on the inside because he has more questions, and he just kind of like he like visibly kind of just he audibly stutters for a moment because he's trying to come up with an excuse for why the heck did he just come up here, and he just kind of he just is like my friend left a potted plant in front of my apartment, and it took me there was a wild goose chase and well, not a goose chase, a scavenger hunt. Yeah, a scavenger hunt with a lot of pieces of paper, and the last piece of paper had your address on it. I don't really know what's going on.
Immediately, the bear perks up. Oh, you must be here for my partner. I know mixed plant is rather, I guess mysterious is a good way to put it. The investigator, right?
Yeah.
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 They actually walk back towards you, but past you to the door, which is still slightly open.
Mm-hmm.
They pull the door kind of open a bit more, and they take off the sign. Underneath the piece of paper was a second printed name, and it says Constance Lane. therapist. Yes. The two of us share an office. It just seemed to be very convenient. And as they're walking back to the desk with the piece of paper, they just put it on the desk and then they turn to face you. So I'm willing to bet that they probably stepped out for a bit. I'm sure they'll be back soon, though.
Yeah.
They're always running around, And they walk around the desk and they pull open the chair and sit for a moment. It's nice to be back, just a little bit.
I'm glad you're you're back. You're a therapist?
Oh, yes. They actually just get back up for a moment. Oh, that's right. I should probably introduce myself. Formally, I mean. And they make their way over to you with you notice now when they're coming towards you that they don't have like any fingers or even like opposable thumbs. They just kind of have like nubbins.
Oh.
They walk up to you and they stick out one of their arms. Oh, my name is Constance Lane. It's very nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. My name's Sammy. Sammy Jax. And he shakes Constance's hand.
And Constance gives a little smile. Yes. Would you like to have a seat while you wait for them to come back? And they gesture to the chair that you had been in previously, but of course they don't know.
Sammy kind of just nods and then kind of just sits down at the chair, and he kind of rubs at his arm a little as he kind of is just like, he's a little confused about why, like, because he's assuming that the partner is the plant. He assumes. He has no idea if he's right. But
so,
he's so confused. He is so confused at this point.
While you made your way to the chair, Connie goes back over to the kitchen-ish area, and you didn't notice at first, but there seems to be there's a spray bottle actually on one of the counters. They pick it up and head back over. Yes, it's time for just a little bit of watering, and you notice now that they're talking to the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And they go and just give a little spritz. Mixed plant always has me help take care of the plant. And they just give a little smile in the direction of the plant and go to put the bottle back.
Mm-hmm. So mixed plant. What are they like?
Oh, well, truthfully, and that they place the spray bottle back there. They start opening a cabinet, which is a bit lower down, so they can reach it.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully, I don't see them very much. In fact, I haven't really seen them at all. They take out 2 teacups and they place it on the counter.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like any tea, by the way?
Yes, please. Tea would be lovely, actually. Not a lot of people drink tea around here, I've found.
And they give another little smile and they take out like a box of like tea bags. They don't have like loose leaf tea. But,
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, it may be a little strange. I hadn't quite seen them before. You say something about a paper trail, and they walk back over to the desk. The water hadn't quite finished boiling yet. Um,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's just kind of how they communicate. In fact, I got here from, looking at a poster, advertising whether anyone would be willing to share the space, and that they reference, they gesture to the office,
Mm-hmm.
and it works out incredibly well. They take cases, and well, some cases are not very pleasant, and sometimes people need someone to talk to. So my office is through that door, and they point to the door that was to the right of the room.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had a few errands to run today, that's all. Just a few things for the plant and a few things for the fridge.
I see. Uh, do um, do you take new patients by any chance?
And Connie adjusts their spectacles. They have little glasses. Uh, oh, of course. I always like taking new clients.
'Cause well, I might need someone to talk to. not just my not just my mom.
At that, Connie comes back around and very, very carefully places a little hand nub. I don't know what you call it.
A little nubbin.
Yeah, a little nubbin on on Sammy's shoulder. Are you doing all right now?
Let me just roll and see how he's doing, cause it's been a lot. He's been through a lot recently, so. Ooh, okay. Yeah, yeah. No, that he kind of looks at you, Constant, and he really thinks about it, and his shading kind of goes blue, and he just kind of he shakes his head quietly. He's just like, no,
Oh, and
I've been through a lot recently.
I'm I'm sorry to hear that. Uh, and 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 Connie is debating to say something, and then goes for it anyway. I might not be able to do much right now since I should be heading back out soon. But would you like a hug, perhaps?
A hug would be really nice, thank you.
Um, and so Connie just kind of like stoops down a little because you're in the chair,
Mm-hmm.
but like I think they're close to the same height anyway.
Yeah, like sitting down, he would be basically 5 feet, I feel.
And Connie just gives you a nice gentle hug. This teddy bear is very soft
Mm-hmm.
and rather nice to hug. They are just a little bit squishy, but
Mm-hmm. Just
they're relatively solid,
yeah, like just the perfect firm to soft ratio for a really good hug.
Yeah,
And like
and
Sammy just like all of like the tension that was in Sammy, like all of the confusion, all of the just what the heck is going on just kind of melts out of him as he hugs Connie. He's just thank you. Thanks a lot. I needed a hug.
Me crying. And Connie gives like a reassuring couple of pats on the back, like yes. And they kind of it feels kind of tentative as they let go just a little bit to face Sammy. And they say, "Oh, I was hoping you would be all right with a hug. Apparently, I give relatively good hugs. Oh, well, as I've been told by clients."
not just relatively. You give amazing hugs. Thank you.
And Connie just looks a little sheepish, like, "Oh, that's nice."
Sammy's eyes kind of crinkle in a smile at Connie, and he's just like, I'll be okay right now. I'm not in danger, so to speak, but there's my partners have told me that therapy is good for me, so it just seemed like a really good opportunity to ask. Because I've been through a lot of things that have given me triggers and stuff, and I don't want to hurt my partners if something were to happen, and just thank you. Uh, maybe he's gonna pull out of his hammer space a little piece of paper with his number on it. I know you're busy right now, but when you get an appointment opening, here's my number.
The Connie just perks up.
You can just call me when there's an opening. I'm pretty much free all the time. Really, it's so whatever works for you. And he hands out the paper. He kind of holds it out interestingly. He holds it out with both of his hands, with his thumbs on top, and he kind of just presents the little card with his name and number on it.
And Connie actually goes and does the same, taking the card with both hands. Now, they have little nubbins, but a picture, if you will. I've always thought of Connie using what I call like Powerpuff logic, in that they don't have any hands or like they don't have any fingers or thumbs, but it just kind of works.
Yeah, Toon logic. And like Sammy just kind of like he kind of does like this quiet little he does like this kind of small little bow, and he just quietly says, "Please take care of me." In a very kind of deferential, respectful way as he hands the card over to them.
They do a small they do a small little bow as well, and certainly, and they take the card, and they kind of just they put it kind of in their sweater vest, which you kind of assume is their hammer space. And at that moment, you hear the whistling of the kettle go off. Oh, excuse me. And they go over and get the kettle. We only have, what tea is this? They take a look at the box, but it's not labeled, so like, well, we have some tea.
Well, any tea is great at the moment. Thank you.
They place, they pour the tea. That's the easiest way to explain it. And they bring a cup back over for Sammy and place it in front of them on the desk. I might leave mine to cool, because soon, and Connie stops for a moment. And in the silence, both of you finally hear something that you hadn't really noticed till now. The tape recorder is still on the desk, and it's still playing. Oh, and then Connie goes over to the tape recorder. Oh, was that? I was there the whole time. And they kind of look puzzled at it as you hear some of the conversation that you and Laffy had had. And it's at the part where Laffy is admitting that they were the one that, did the thing.
Had shoved Bevan away from the group and separated them.
Yes. And Connie just kind of, one of their ears kind of twitches. And they're like, that's rather, and then they look kind of questioningly at it. Whoever that is. Huh?
Mixed Plant was, had required some of my help, getting some information about a missing persons case, that I happened to be kind of involved in.
And it's now they notice the wedged file that's like in the desk drawer.
They had to leave for a little bit.
They carefully pull it out of the spot and open it up to where you see Bevan's picture, and they look a little sad, like, oh, another child missing.
Yeah, I'm friends with Bev,
and that's why you're here.
Yeah. I wanted to help them find their family again, and yeah, that's why I'm involved.
And they place the file back onto the table, but they go to the tape recorder, they pause it, they rewind it, and then they replay that section. And you can hear Laffy like, you want to hear the truth? I did it. I pushed the kid. I did the separate, if you will. And Connie's eyes narrow. I don't know who that is, but it doesn't sound entirely truthful. And they look rather sharply at the tape recorder. But then they kind of ease up. They pause it. Well, I suppose it's none of my business. Anyways, I do have to be going. But I will be sure to give you a call if anything comes up, okay? And they give a nice little smile once more.
Sammy's eyes crinkle into what Connie assumes is a smile, and he kind of just gives a quiet little bow in his place, and he's just like, "Thank you. I look forward to your call."
And then they just give a big smile at that, and they're just like they nod like, yeah. So as they walk past the desk, they pat Sammy's shoulder once or twice and say, hopefully I will see you soon. I mean, not. And they just give a little laugh, like, oh, well,
Sammy, his eyes they crinkle a little more, and he's just like, yes, I hope to see you soon too. Thank you again.
No problem. And they give a little wave as they go back to the door. They actually grab the sign, they put it back on there because they had forgotten something. They go out and close the door. And as soon as the door shuts, Shirley is back on their leaves, running down the cabinet and back onto the desk.
And Sammy just kind of slumps in the chair, like, and he just kind of looks at Shirley and is just like, Mixed Plant, Why are you so secretive? They seem nice.
It's and you hear the voice come back on in your head. It's part of the process, part of the job. And they don't turn the tape recorder back on. Um, but they pat it with one of their leaves and they say, well, now that we have a confession, it seems that we may have to bring them in. The clown, I mean.
But Nick's plant, Mix Connie was saying that they didn't sound like Laffy was telling the truth all the way.
Shirley pauses. And they just kind of they kind of poke again at the tape recorder. Perhaps they have a point. And they look again at the file that has Bevan's picture on it. Perhaps then something else you can do for me.
Yes. And he kind of says that as a question, like kind of like, yeah. What else do you want me to do? Like, oh boy.
They hold on. Let me roll insight on that real quick though. Okay, that's not too bad, I think.
Yeah, like the kid's an open book. He's not hiding anything. He's a little.
It was kind of more. It was more to notice how they were doing, and it's kind of like, yeah, maybe I should say a little more before.
Yeah, like just the whole entire Sammy's not used to doing this. A little guidance would be nice. He's not like a detective. He may be a detective's son, but.
So Shirley pauses for a moment and then says, there are two things that need to be done. We need to have the child come here, pointing to the office, and we need to take in the clown. But if we need more time to reevaluate the individual, then perhaps the child is more important in this respect. Do you think you could bring them here? You have interacted with them before.
Yeah, I could, but
and
Sammy's just like he kind of shuffles in place a little, and he's just like, I'm a little worried about what's all going on because Laffy was implying that the troop wasn't the best for them, and that has me worried. I don't know what's going on. And he didn't really answer that.
Shirley's voice comes back into your mind. Well, I do not know them that well. The troop, I mean. But I do have reason to believe they care for the child as they pull out another couple of papers from the file. They had signed these adoption papers for Bevan, and they place it down. And you notice on there, rather than just having one or two signatures, they have many signatures from each of the members. I have reason to believe that they only have it in Bevan's best interest.
Sammy's just gonna roll a quiet insight. That's a 6. He doesn't really. He just kind of looks at Mick's plant, and he kind of. You don't see this, but he chews on his lip for a moment. He appears to be thinking, and he's just like, okay, I I can bring them here.
Good. They actually go into their pot for a moment, and they actually procure about 10 GP, and they place it on the desk. I understand. I may have caused some distress. There's not much I can do right now, but this should be enough for your trouble, I suppose.
Sammy looks at the GP and he just gonna roll it. Okay, yeah, he looks at the GP and he kind of just nods. He's like, "Thank you for taking the time to explain a few things to me."
You're welcome. I just say matter of factly.
And I hope that this will help. Him referring to himself helping Nick's plant out.
Yeah. And Shirley, you hear Shirley's voice again. Thank you. And they go and they actually just turn the tape recorder back on and start typing out more of the transcription, as you can tell what they're doing. You may leave.
Sammy nods, and he is going to really quickly pull out something from his hammer space. He pulls out a little thermos, and he gently just kind of pours the tea in the cup into the thermos, so he can still drink he can just drink the tea as he goes, and it will not seem like he just didn't drink the tea that Connie had provided.
And that's really sweet.
Because he really did want to drink the tea, but he also doesn't want to intrude on Shirley's work.
And Shirley doesn't move from the spot.
And Sammy also, he does pull out another card from his hammer space, and he kind of just puts it on the desk of Shirley's desk, and he's just like, I'm not entirely sure if you know how to use the phone, but if you can, here's my number if you need to call me at all. Mixed plant.
And without slowing down and typing, a little leaf points to the other edge of the desk. There was a phone there the whole time. I forgot to mention that.
Sammy just kind of blinked.
But they pointed.
Ah.
And they gesture underneath.
He nods and just kind of puts it underneath. And then he stands up and kind of just gives the plant a little bow, and it's just like, thank you. I look forward to working with you.
And you hear their voice once more. Thank you. They can't physically bow, but they lift one of their little fronds and they give a little wave, like, yeah.
Sammy appreciates the gesture, and he just kind of slips out of the office, and he takes a moment to kind of look at the gardening shop, just like takes it a once over, kind of just, okay, there's a gardening supply store right around here, which is nice. I'm gonna go back to my own garden and just process everything.
And that's a good place to leave it off.
Yep.
Because yeah, we gotta make room for the next one. But
yep. Thank you all for listening.
That's the end of this FPS.
Bye.
So we'll see what we have next.
Bye, everybody.